Welcome on into the Big Time Sports Podcast Show with Mitch Spinell, Mitchell Balla, here to give you the latest of what's going on in the sporting world. Mitch, it's good to be back with you, man.
Good to be back with you as well. And I think that we have a lot to talk about based off what you and I were texting and sending via Twitter over the last 4 or 5 days.
Absolutely. And before we get into that, we want to remind you guys what's going on here this week on Big Time Sports. Obviously, we have a number of games on the slate for the upcoming schedule. Tonight, I will be in Junaid Hutton for the Indian Valley versus Sandy Valley game that's taking place. Tip-off should be around 7:30. You can find the replays of those games on 10:30 p.m. tonight and on Tuesday and 5 p.m. Wednesday, December 13th. I believe we are live streaming a couple of these games coming up here soon. But yeah, games highlighting yellow. We live stream on BigTimeSportsOhio.com. So be sure to tune in for that. We also have Jackson at Hoover for tonight. The Vikings playing host to the Polar Bears. Later on in the week, we'll have McKinley taking on Glen Oak at Glen Oak. And then, next week we'll have a couple of games on the docket, but it'll be a good one here. We should be sure to check out BigTimeSportsOhio.com/schedule for all of our listed broadcasts of upcoming high school sporting events. You want to go into basketball, Mitch, man. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening right now on the boys and girls side. I mean, what's been going on in Stark County? Who are the teams that we should be looking out for?
Well, let's start with girls basketball, Mitch. The Lake Blue Streaks girls basketball team, 5-0 to start the year this year. This is a team you need to look out for. They beat Perry this past weekend, on Saturday, 64-40. Lake is now 5-0, 1-0 in Federal League play. A lot of schools in the past week, whether it was last Wednesday or Saturday, opening up Federal League play. Jackson, another team, girls basketball, they are now 2-0 in Federal League play. They picked up wins over McKinley at home last week and then on the road at Green on Friday. McKinley, though, then got back on the winning side after they beat Hoover, the Hoover girls team, off to an 0-3 start, 0-2 in the Federal League. For McKinley, that is their first Federal League wins. They're 1-1 in the Fed, and I believe now 2-4 overall. This is going to be a very interesting race, I think, in the Federal League for girls basketball this year, because not only Jackson, who we know graduated 2 Division I players, Green returned a plethora of stars last season, and they ended up winning the Federal League. A ton of talent has left the Federal League, and so now it's who is going to step up fast and first. And you look around, Lake, obviously, who's taken their lumps the past couple of years, but being so young, obviously it's paid off so far through the first 5 games, or else they wouldn't be 5-0. You look around, Green just seems to be a little bit decimated by all the players they lost. They still returned some players from last year in the Shockley sisters. You look around there. Jackson starting a freshman, and then their first player off the bench this year is a freshman. They also have a sophomore who started as a freshman last year. So the youth at Jackson is helping them right now, along with just 2 seniors. Perry is a wild card. McKinley, you always know, is going to be a tough team to play no matter what, especially at the field house. So I'm intrigued to see what happens here the rest of the way with girls basketball, as we're just starting off more federally games in action starting Wednesday night into Saturday. It'll be interesting to see if Lake is the team. I mean, right now, undefeated in Federal League play with a 1 win. They had 1 bye, obviously, with 7 teams in the league, but 5-0, that's a tremendous start for the Lady Blue Streaks. You flip over and look at the boys. This is going to be fun. Already, just after 1 week of boys basketball, Mitch, in Federal League action, these teams are super competitive. Don't believe me? Jackson goes on the road at Green, which in years past, when Green plays Jackson, that's first typically at Jackson. So this year was at Green, a different type of setup. You'd think, okay, Green has it. They definitely have the height advantage. They returned 4 of their 5 starters from last year, including their first 2 off the bench. Jackson goes over there, shoots the lights out. They win 70-65 in a very entertaining game. McKinley off to a 2-0 start. Things are looking really good. They hang on to beat Hoover Friday night. Well, then they fall to Dover in overtime at the field house Saturday night, 62-59. So McKinley now looks vulnerable. Hoover will host Jackson tonight, the Big Time Sports game of the week, 7 p.m. tip-off there at the Wind Tunnel is what they call it, at North Canton High School. Glen Oak is another team. I mean, Mitch, I don't want to rush the season, but like at the same time, I'm so intrigued if you said, hey, here's a time traveling machine to see who's going to win the Fed, because although Green's off to an 0-1 start in Federal League play, some of these other schools are. A couple weeks ago, maybe last week, we talked about it. There are 5 legitimate schools that have a chance to win the Fed this year. And I told you, I think there's a very good chance whoever does win the Fed in boys basketball, they could easily have 3 losses in the Federal League because it is so competitive, so well balanced. Every team has a strength that other teams don't have. Jackson's guard play phenomenal. Lake's experience phenomenal. Glen Oak having 2 go-to scores at any time in Ja'Cory Lipkins and Bryce Broom, phenomenal. We know Lake might have the favorite for Federal League Player of the Year if he was healthy, and Chance Kassenheiser. The Blue Streaks are still winning without him. That has to be somewhat frightening for these other teams to Federal League because usually, as good as Kassenheiser is, as great of a scorer as he is, it's stop Kassenheiser, you have a chance. Mitch, if this team's learning to win without him and they can insert him right back in and he's himself, boy, oh boy, is Lake going to be a tough team to play because that is a tough place to play. The Federal League, I also think this year for the first time, every school is going to have a true home court advantage because of the parity in the Federal League. It's not like other years past where if you're going to a certain school, oh, well, our fans aren't going to show up tonight because we know that team is going to come in here and beat us by 20. No, any team in the Fed in boys and girls basketball this year has a chance to win any given night. And that makes it so much more enjoyable for fans, I think, because every game is going to be close. And I'm excited. Even these other scores around Stark County, Alliance beating Minerva this past weekend in girls basketball, 60-32. They have 2 wins now. Louisville beating Glen Oak girls. Louisville's 5-1 in girls basketball. So Louisville has a very solid girls basketball team too. Marlington 2-4. They pick up a big conference win over Salem, their first of the year. So they're 1-3 in play. It's just not going to stop. Not just the Federal League, Mitch, but the entire Stark County region when it comes to boys and girls basketball. This is the first time I think in a long time that you could pick a certain team and it's just going to completely change. And I love it. I think it's good for high school basketball. I think it's good for the area fans. It's good for the athletes to face adversity early on in the year. I think that not only that, but we talk about how good the Federal League is in all the sports. This is why you see so many teams throughout all the sports played in boys and girls side of things make deep tournament runs. And I think a lot of these teams are going to be more battle tested than they ever have been before. And that's why I'm super excited to see already what the end of the year is going to look like.
I'm glad you brought up the Saturday matchup between Canton McKinley and Dover because the Crimson Tornadoes made a statement going from Tuscarawas to Stark and winning in overtime against a good Bulldogs squad. They had a good start to the season. They beat Highland earlier this week, 42-38 over at their place. The Crimson Tornadoes made a big run in the second half in order to come back against a Highland team that can play well with some of these bigger programs in the area, obviously competing well in the IVC as of right now. They are at last check 2-1 on the season just before the start of in conference play for the boys as Indian Valley and Sandy Valley will kick it off tonight. And that's a big matchup early on in the season for the both undefeated Braves and Cardinals at 3-0. A lot of good players on there tonight. Be sure to check us out there on the website. As we mentioned before, Buckeye Trail and Malvern are in first place in the North. Both are at 2-0 on the year. And then on the girls' side of the IVC, Strasburg is at 3-1. Strasburg just took down Tuscarawas Central Catholic 59-9 in an early season match. I mean, TCC is off to a tough start this year, 1-3 overall, 0-2 in IVC play. But Strasburg, with kind of a limited bench, not as many players, a few key players returning from last year, but not as sized a roster from last season. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be able to compete, especially with the likes of Highland now up to 4-0 now in the South Division, while Tusky Valley is at 3-0. A lot of stuff going on here. A lot of teams are standing out right now, and I'm very curious to see where we'll be standing by the end of this week when we get into conference play for the first time. By the way, I should also mention New Philadelphia getting their second game in tonight at West Holmes. They're on a little bit of a road streak to start the year. They lost at Mount Vernon 35-32 last, what was it, Thursday, Friday, later on in the week. The Quakers can bounce back tonight. Hey, Stark County, it's your friends from the local Board of Mental Health and Addiction Recovery, and we have a challenge for you. We're asking you to create a new habit and check in on someone every day. Nothing fancy, just a simple text, phone call, or note on social media to ask someone how they're doing. You don't have to be a professional, you just have to ask and then listen. Are you someone who could use a check-in? Text 4HOPE to 741-741 anytime, day or night, or dial 988. 8. Brought to you by Stark County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery.
Wendy's without the Wendy's app is like Nugs without the sauce. Or a Frosty without the fries. Or a hamburger without the fresh beef. No! Level up. Get the app to order ahead, order delivery, earn free food, and get app-exclusive offers. One app, all the Wendy's.
Offer for a limited time at participating Wendy's. Terms apply. App registration required. Fresh beef available in contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
You deserve the best. And at Ferris Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, Toyota, that's what you get. We consider you, the customer, to be part of our family. Anybody can make promises, but when you visit Ferris, you get the Ferris deal from a Ferris wheel. So if you're looking for a car, truck, or van, think Ferris.
Think Ferris.
Where you matter.
You matter. Everyone plays a part. We all have a role. Each of us can make a difference. You do matter, and the best way to have a positive impact is to pay it forward. With each of us helping one another to cope, feel better, and know that we belong. Pass on the positivity today. Tell someone else they matter too. All care.
All care, all care. Where you matter.
You invest a lot in your home and vehicle purchases. Van Nostrand Young and Associates want you to feel secure should anything happen to those investments. We partnered with providers like Grange Insurance and other industry leaders to be sure you're presented with the most complete coverage to fit your needs. Because we're not only here to protect the items you invest in, we're here to protect your future as well.
Call Van Nostrand Young Insurance in North Canton at 330-497-1867.
Ride into the future to win great prizes. Can you see into the SARTA crystal ball? Guess how we'll be innovating and adding new services to make your SARTA experience better than ever. Try your luck with the What's Next at SARTA contest at sartanext.com. One grand prize winner will win free bus rides for 6 months. Runners-up will win great SARTA merchandise like a Bluetooth speaker water bottle, backpack, and tumbler. And don't worry, they're all multiple choice questions. All part of SARTA 2.5. Happy SARTAversary.
All right, so I want to get into some of the other topics we have here on the show today. And look, we got to start with the one that got our mojo back, got our energy back, got us to an 8-5 record as the Cleveland Browns beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game that I think it's another example, Mitch. And I know you haven't given this guy his flowers at times this year, even when he didn't deserve them. This is another example in the Kevin Stefanski era where the Browns are closing out games that they wouldn't have done probably in even 4, 5, 6 years ago. This Jacksonville team is good. They were a little bit hampered. Trevor Lawrence coming back from an injury that he suffered on Monday night against Cincinnati on the previous week. This Jaguars team had a couple of missing spots on the defense. Therefore, the passing game, I'm going to say it, has looked as good on Sunday as it had in any game this year and maybe within the last 3 to 4 years. Say what you want about Joe Flacco being old. Say what you want about him not maybe having the game that he once did. The guy can still launch it downfield. The guy can still handle himself in the pocket and in pressure. And it's going to, like, I'm going to throw something out there. If he was, say, 5, 6 years younger and we didn't have $200-some million left to give Deshaun Watson, there would be a serious conversation of if the Browns should, pull the trigger on something like this. But obviously, this is going to be kind of a rental situation. We picked him up 2 weeks ago when you're the fourth quarterback essentially to win a game for us this year, which is unbelievable. The fact that we keep winning games with this situation. But yeah, I'm so fascinated by this. And the defense and the secondary was finally able to take the ball away from a team. We've been struggling with that all season. 3 interceptions, 2 of them from MJ Emerson, who's been so under the radar for the Browns the last year and a half. He's starting to pick up some steam now.
To your first point, Kevin Stefanski has done a phenomenal job this year as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. My issues come as the offensive play call. We won't go into that today. Okay, I'll give him his flowers as the head coach because you're right. This team has found a way to finish off football games and continue to put pressure on other teams to make other plays matter, not take their foot off the gas, and us having to hold our breath. Although I will admit I was a little bit scared when Jacksonville scored and had the onside kick coming. Just PTSD from week 2 last year. Still okay.
Yeah, which started Flacco.
You're not gonna get all the bad Browns memories out of me. Okay,
no.
people, you still have PTSD, but Joe Flacco. That was one of the best games a Cleveland Browns quarterback has played. And even the interception he threw wasn't. Yes, it's his
fault. That was
fault,
miscommunication.
100%. Well, but the defender ran into our guy. Joe Flacco's timing and anticipation of where guys are going to be right now, Mitch, it looks like he's in his prime. And that was an anticipation play. The guy was supposed to be there if he doesn't get knocked off the route. So, yes, it goes as an interception, but I'm not going to hold too much against Joe Flacco for that one. What is it with this team? Playing at home is one thing. This team is unreal at home. And the only game they've lost, we know, was the Baltimore game, which, call it for what it is. We were putting the defense in horrendous spots because we had to change quarterbacks an hour before kickoff. DTR obviously wasn't ready. This team has won all their games this year during 1 o'clock kickoffs. I don't know if you know that. They're 8-1 during 1 p.m. kickoffs. The Browns have at least 2 more 1 o'clock kickoffs, a night game on Thursday night, and the final game of the regular season at Cincinnati still to be determined. So you look at this now at 8-5. The Browns also got a lot of help in the AFC this week. The one that didn't go our way that we really would like to have seen was the Rams beating Baltimore, because it would put you 1 game back in the Ravens with 4 to play. Because, Mitch, what I would do for a home playoff game in Cleveland, what anybody that's a Browns fan would do for a home playoff game in Cleveland, I would drop anything. I would drop an obscene amount of money to attend that game, because we haven't seen it. We have to get there first. I do feel confident with where we're at. At the same time, and I've said this before about championship teams, you have to have a break of luck go your way, okay? Not often does the best team always win it just because they're always the best team. Usually a ball bounces their way. Usually a fluke mistake happens by another team, whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, you name it. The Browns right now, though, have to be one of the most snake-bitten teams when it comes to injuries. And we are somehow finding a way around it. And that is why I will give Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, an immense amount of credit. They took another brutal blow, though. DeJuan Jones, the sensational rookie that looked like a steal, out for the year. So you have now lost 3 offensive tackles this year. I don't know if Jed Wills is on the season-ending IR. He could come back. At the same time, left tackle really has not been a problem since Jed Wills has went out. Grant Delpit, though, is the one that worries me. The man signs an extension overnight, Saturday into Sunday, 3 years, $36 million, which, by the way, that is so worth the extension.
Sure.
This is a guy that blew out his Achilles his rookie year. And you always wondered. He looked, Mitch, he looked like he had no business being on the field in his second year under Joe Woods in the defense. But a lot of other guys did too. And now that we have a defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz that plays to our players' strengths and allows our guys to be themselves, Grant Delpit has not only been a ball hawk, but he has been a quarterback hawk, because when he is at the line of scrimmage, he gets in the backfield and he makes a sack, a tackle for loss. Him and JOK, I think, have been extremely underrated this year. With the way they've played football, there is concern that he could go on the IR, which means he would miss the last 4 weeks. He could return for the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I hope that's not the case. This Browns team, though, the mentality as a team has changed. Because in years past, Mitch, this team, with all the injuries they've dealt with, is not 8-5. This team is not remaining positive in years past. I think you can agree with that. Something is different, but the Browns have to get 2 more wins out of the last 4, and I think they're in the playoffs. And it starts upcoming Sunday against the Bears, which I really felt confident, but without Grant Delpit, I do feel a little bit worried because, like I just mentioned, he is so good at the line of scrimmage, and you have a mobile quarterback in Justin Fields. And Mitch, the Bears are playing better football.
They really just beat the Lions, yeah.
Yeah, they're playing football, and Justin Fields is playing like a guy like, hey, I got to show that I'm the guy, because if I don't, this is a team that's going to have the number 1 overall pick, and this is a team that's probably going to have a 5 to 7 range pick with these other teams winning right now. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm scared. I would expect the Browns to still win, but this is not going to be an easy one, because of Fields being mobile. But we'll talk about that game later this week. The one thing I want to mention, the offensive line has looked so great, even with guys stepping in right now.
Yeah.
Because Joe Flacco isn't a mobile quarterback. And that is not a knock on Deshaun, DTR, or PJ Walker. This offensive line, though, think about when those other three quarterbacks were playing. How many holding calls did we have? How many illegal men downfield did we have? How many just stupid penalties did the offensive line have? They know that Flacco's not going to run. So they have to just stay in pass block unless the run is called. And right now, this team has looked great. And Joe Flacco is thriving. 300-plus passing yards, 3 touchdowns. And it's almost like the past 11 months that he's had off has been a giant benefit because he does not look like he's 38, about to turn 39 in January. He doesn't. And it's funny because when we talked about what quarterback are the Browns going to go get, none of us were saying Joe Flacco. It was, oh, well, who's out there? Do you go get Colt McCoy? Can you get somebody off the practice squad? Is Ryan Tannehill going to be available?
You don't think Flacco is one of those guys?
Not at first conversation.
I really thought the Jets would go back and get him when they had their quarterback situation. And the fact that we were able to go sweep in and pick him up, I was like, I can't believe we were able to get that.
Yeah. And it tells you the Browns wanted him first because it was the first one they brought in. They signed him right away. And so that's another big thing because now Joe Flacco has nothing to prove. He's a Super Bowl winner. He's a Super Bowl MVP. And he was, I believe, the first quarterback to get over $200 million fully guaranteed deal.
Somewhere around there.
At the time, something like that. And now he's come back to play. And it tells you all you need to know because after the game, he told you, I feel like a 10-year-old kid again. I'm rejuvenated. I feel young. I feel good. This team is making me feel good. My kids are old enough now to realize what's going on. They're excited. My family's excited. All the recipe for Joe Flacco right now is there. And if the Browns don't turn the ball over and or put the defense in bad spots, this team is going to be hard to beat. And they have to win 2 more games, and they just got to win their 2 home games because the Jets don't scare me. Aaron Rodgers is not going to come back now, even though they beat the Texans. The Texans right now don't scare me as much either. If Nico Collins is going to be out for a while after Tank Dell's out for the year with a broken leg, I'm getting optimistic with 4 weeks to play. And at the same time, I'm getting so optimistic. I've looked ahead at the Ravens schedule. They still have to play the Dolphins and at San Francisco. They would have to lose 2 and the Browns went out. But it's felt good to get off the 2 bad losses. And I will say they were bad losses because of how they lost to the Broncos and the Rams.
They were.
But victory Monday yesterday was so good. It's victory Tuesday, and it's going to remain a victory day every day until we play the Bears. And then hopefully we have another victory Monday next week.
Post winning the Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens back in 2013, Flacco signed a contract in March worth 6 years, $120.6 million. The fact that is chump change now for a highest pay in 10 years. We have seen how many quarterbacks make past that 5, 6, 7, 8.
Daniel Jones is making more.
Yeah, and he's getting.
And
it is now time for a special presentation, a sit down with some of the guys from Parkway, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram here in Dover. It is Jerry Moore, the general manager, and Craig Abner, sales manager. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're glad to be here.
Absolutely. And now, guys, working at a car dealership, obviously with the holiday season coming around, people are going to be making all sorts of purchases here for their friends and family. Maybe they'll even splurge on some of these vehicles at your place, as you see on some of these car commercials from time to time. I mean, what great deals are you guys offering at Parkway here in the last couple of weeks leading up to the holiday season?
Well, Mitch, thanks for asking. Right now, being the end of the year, all the manufacturers are throwing all of their incentives and rebates, and we have low APR programs, and we'd like to offer all that off to the customer. Currently, we're running up to $12,000 off on most select vehicles out there with the Gladiators, a lot of our Ram trucks. We have a significant amount of monies and low APR programs on our Grand Cherokees. So, right now it's towards the end of the year. So we as a dealership are looking to get rid of all of our 23 model inventory. So we're taking every possible deal. Well, no, we're not saying no to anything. So I'd like to invite everybody to stop out and visit with Craig and our team here at the Parkway Chrysler Dodge Jeep store. And the incentives are just wonderful right now.
We'll get back to you, Jerry, in just a little bit. I want to focus over to Craig now, if I can, because, Craig, as a sales manager, you're working with a lot of people every single day, trying to make sure that they get the best value for their dollar, while also making sure you guys get the best deal as well. Now, when I ask you this question, I wanted you to think of the best answer you possibly can. Why should you purchase from your local dealer as opposed to maybe some other big company you might see here in more metro areas or beyond?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually love this question, Mitch. Being a local fellow myself, I was born and raised in the area. I attended the local schools, as well as most of our salespeople and management team. You look through our service department and body shop or our parts department. Our guys are local people. When we need a haircut, we go to the local barber. When we need our taxes done, we go to the local accountant. We try to support each other in a way that it makes it relevant for everybody. So, purchasing local, I think, is big for me. Being a local fella, you're going to see some of the same people you run into at all of the dance recitals and local sport events. It just makes it nice to be able to see the familiar face, before, during, and after the sale, knowing that you're dealing with people that are sharing the same values as you do and working hard to make their community strong.
Absolutely. Now, let's go through the buying process, so to say, or potentially even the leasing process for some people. In your opinion, is it better to buy or lease when you're looking for your next vehicle?
That's another good question. With the uncertainties in the market, there's been times in the last few years where there's been no cars and people were paying well over sticker for them. Now we have inventories coming back and we have a surplus of cars and there's huge discounts. So, there's some things that we can't control. So when we go to spend our money, it seems to me like leasing seems to be the best option still. You can avoid the risk of the resale of the vehicle. Some of these things that happen in the market are no fault of ours as consumers or the dealer. Shortages of computer chips and whatnot. A lot of those things drive prices up on cars, but if you're at least in a lease, you have an opportunity to drive that vehicle for a few years at a budget you can afford. And at the end of the lease, you have all the options available. And that's where you come back in and you share, what's important to you. And in some cases, we will put that customer into another lease. Or a lot of these people have had equity in their vehicles and they've been able to trade up and actually lower their payment recently. And, the last situation is maybe you just love the vehicle you have and you want to just keep it. And we can certainly go over all those options with you and make sure that you, get the best deal that you want, but having those options is huge.
Now, going into more of that process and going kind of back to extended warranties, would you say they're a good idea or a bad idea when trying to finance your new car?
I think that extended warranties are huge. If you're the type of person that just trades every couple of years, maybe an extended warranty is not really something you'd find a lot of value in. But if you tend to hang on to your car for 3, 4, 5 years and you drive a lot of miles like I do, repair costs have gone up quite a bit. Sometimes the parts are scarce and they're not available, and the downtime can actually, keep you out of your car for a while. Where if you have an extended warranty, you pay an extra $20-$30 a month on your payment to put that warranty on the car. But when you have a situation come up, you're covered. You don't have to panic. It's always easier to kind of budget for that up front than some of the surprises you can get down the road. There are times where your car may be held up for a week or two just waiting for parts. And some of these extended warranties offer you alternative transportation while your vehicle's in the shop. So I highly recommend considering an extended warranty at the time of purchase. It does make good sense.
In terms of trying to put together the finances needed to buy a new vehicle, would you be able to still get finance, say, with bad credit?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, we are a full spectrum dealer. Mitch, we can help someone. We have interest rates as low as 1.9, 2.9 with some of the promotions we run. But if you've had some bumps or bruises, which there's a lot of people that have, again, some of those uncertainties in the world have created some situations for people. Yeah, you absolutely can get financed with us. We offer financing for every end of the spectrum, even people that have, let's just say, bad credit. If you can prove your income and prove your residence, we're going to be able to help you take care of that. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. We deal with each person. We keep our client's information private, and we do the best we can to make sure that you find a vehicle that fits your budget regardless of your credit situation.
So in terms of being able to buy the car, would it be a better deal for buyers if they were to pay in cash rather than alternative options?
Well, Mitch, that's a question that comes up a lot. Years ago when I first got started in the business, cash was king. But the way the car dealers work, especially us right now, we operate on a very small profit margin on the sale of our vehicles. And about the only opportunity we have to really make any dollars on our end is if a person would have a trade-in, and if they allow us to do some financing options or leasing with them, we definitely are able to offer a better deal to someone that allows us to work with them on the financing. And in some cases, versus paying cash, you'd be better off maybe leaving your money in the bank and let it earn a pretty good interest rate right now, and let us finance you on some of these new cars at some of the very low interest rates that are available. You can keep your money in the bank and let it work for you, and we'll set you up with a loan that has a lot less interest to be paid back. That's something that we offer here that I think a lot of people don't realize. So before you pay cash for something, it's worth sitting down with one of us and finding out if it really makes sense.
Greg, I appreciate all the information you provided, not only me, but the viewers here on the Big Time Sports Podcast show. Now, going back over to Jerry, my question to you is, what makes Parkway different from those who are selling cars, and not just in the area, but even beyond the area?
Well, I think a lot of it, Mitch, starts with our transparency. We're very open with all of our customers. We show them everything that we're doing to every used car that we sell, the service work that we provided to that vehicle, which provides an investment to them when they're considering that vehicle, along with the new car side of it as well. All the rebates, the incentives, that's manufacturing support money that we want to be sure that all of our customers are able to take advantage of and really, work with. And, it boils all the way down to our employees as well. We've got a lot of great employees that have been at this dealership for a period of years, even decades. And, they all have the empowerment and the autonomy to make decisions to take care of the customer, keep the customer first. So, I just believe it's a combination of the ability to make those decisions, the transparency of which, we provide to all of our customers, whether it's new, used, service, whatever. We just really believe in that philosophy, and we all adhere to it as a team here at Parkway.
And that is a sit down with the guys over at Parkway Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Jerry, Craig, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
You are welcome.
Thanks for having us, Mitch. Appreciate you as well.
Vive Auto Sales, located on West High Avenue in New Philadelphia and Cleveland Avenue in Canton, is a used car dealership committed to getting financing for everyone. We give every customer that walks in our showrooms a prime buying experience, no matter their credit score or financial situation. Current inventory can be viewed at www.wefinancenow.com. Check out our Facebook pages for the most up-to-date information about upcoming events and promotions happening at Vive Auto Sales.
Are you trying to increase your speed, quickness, vertical leap, and agility? If so, NST Sports Performance is for you. NST trains athletes ages 5 through pro. NST designs each program specific to the athlete's needs, goals, and sports. For more, visit nstsports.com. Locations in North Canton and New Philadelphia. It's nstsports.com.
If you're looking for a new or pre-owned car or truck, why not see the Parkway Auto Group? Parkway is a special group of automotive experts with 8 brands to satisfy your needs. Come see the difference at the Parkway Auto Group on Commercial Parkway in Dover. 8 brands and 1 family. It's Parkway Auto Group.
The Furby Electric Supply Company has bright ideas for your home. Save money by converting to energy-efficient electrical products or add ambiance with beautiful lighting features. It begins with a professional consultation and a visit to the Furby Lighting Showroom. Then certified Furby contractors complete your project right and on time. Since 1934, 4 generations have built a reputation of quality and trust, and they offer emergency services too. Just visit Furby.com. That's F-U-R-B-A-Y. The Furby Electric Supply Company.
It takes a lot of practice to have a winning team. Albin Title has over 100 years of combined experience handling real estate, title, and escrow transactions. They serve Tuscarawas, Stark, Carroll, Harrison counties, and more. So choose Albin Title for your next home refinance, sale, or purchase. They'll get it done quickly and professionally. Contact Albin Title at 330-334-5800 or visit their website albintitle.com. Let them put their experience to work for you.
We all have 206 things in common. Our bones keep us up and moving. And we at Cleveland Clinic Union Hospital care about every single one of them. From the tip of your finger to a brand new hip, our orthopedic experts will keep you going while keeping you safe. For every break and breakthrough, for every bone and joint, for every care in the world. Get the care you need when and where you need it. Visit unionhospital.org.
Fall is in the air and part-time career enhancement courses at Buckeye Career Center are on the horizon. Registration is now open for Introduction to Beekeeping, Basic Small Engine Repair, and Sign Language. These part-time offerings run on Tuesday evenings and begin in November. Let Buckeye Career Center help you learn a new skill or advance your current skill set. Call 330-339-2288 for more information or to reserve your seat in one of these or our other part-time classes.
Have you checked in on someone yet today? This is your reminder. A simple text, call, or message. You don't have to be a professional to check in. You just have to ask and listen. Are you someone who could use a check-in? Dial 988 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A message from Stark County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery. And he's getting surpassed now, potentially, by one of the great NFL memes of our time in Tommy DeVito. And that's the perfect segue into our next topic, which we want to talk about last night's 2 pair of games in Monday Night Football. By the way, your thoughts on Monday Night Football having 2 games, multiple games? Bettors don't like it.
Bettors didn't like it. I didn't hate it, but I think I didn't hate it because neither were, I got to sit down and watch this game. It wasn't the Eagles and Dallas Cowboys Sunday Night Football. If that would have been on Monday Night Football with one of those other games, I would have been like, I don't care about those other games. You had the luxury last night to flip back and forth, and both good games.
Fair.
I just told you before we went live, I had no idea that the Dolphins lost last night. I didn't know the Giants won. The parity was there, and they were both close games, and that's what you want. Now, did it take away viewership from one singular game? Probably. I didn't hate it, though, because you know what I like to do on Sundays, Mitch? I like to sit down and watch the Cleveland Browns, and then watch NFL Red Zone with 8 games going on at once in the 1 o'clock hour with Scott Hansen, and it's just so enjoyable. So last night, it was fun. But I do think if you would have had 2 games, one of them being a marquee matchup and another one being one of those games last night, I don't know how I would have felt because I would have had all my attention on that marquee game.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned the Dolphins game. If you'd have turned that game off with 4.5 minutes left, no one would have blamed you because that was 2. Not only were they up 2 touchdowns, Mitch, they just scored those 2 touchdowns. So you're thinking, wow, the momentum has completely shifted to Miami, and somehow Tennessee is able to just work their way downfield, not once but twice. One of those you had to get a 2-point conversion on. They got it. Gutsy call by Vrabel, and yeah, the Titans stole one from the Dolphins. This is a Dolphins team that is near the top of the AFC. They're not fighting for a playoff spot. They're fighting for a number 1 spot in the AFC, which technically the Browns still have a chance at, and we'll maybe get to that math later on in the week if it applies. But I'm not gunning for a home playoff spot. I'm not gunning for a number 1 seed. As great as it would be, I'm just focused on getting in the playoffs. Probably, if we were to end today, we would face Jacksonville again down in Florida.
Sign me up.
Right.
Sign me up.
It wouldn't be an easy game, I still don't think, but it would be one which you could see them winning. Like, if you can win in Pittsburgh 4 years ago, you can certainly win in Jacksonville with their pool and everything.
I think the other thing, too, is in the back of the Jaguars' minds, they already lost this team. Yes, the Browns beat Pittsburgh in 2020, but Pittsburgh rested a lot of those guys. Remember, Mason Rudolph started that game. Some of their starters didn't play that game. I told you last week, and personally, it was one when I was being the pessimistic Browns fan before I changed my tune before the season kicked off. It was one of 3 wins I had circled because the Jaguars just don't strike me as that juggernaut team that you think can win the Super Bowl. I don't think the Jaguars have a team to win the Super Bowl. However, this isn't like the past 5-6 years. I think any team that gets in the playoffs for the most part has a chance to get to the Super Bowl this year from the AFC because the Chiefs do not look like the Chiefs. The Ravens, we know we can beat them. But if I asked you right now, if I took a poll of our listeners and viewers, who is the top team in the AFC right now? You would say?
In the AFC, probably the Ravens.
Yeah, but at the same time, before last night, I think a lot of people could have said the Dolphins. Other people would have said the Chiefs until somebody knocks off the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Sure. Yeah.
Some may have said the Jags. To me, this is the most wide open the AFC has been in terms of the regular season and what we're seeing, because it seems like there's trouble in paradise right now with the overall favorite year in, year out.
Right.
And also the Bills got the giant win,
Yeah.
and they kind of look dangerous again.
Right. Before we get into that, I want to kind of touch on the West, the NFC too, because that seems top heavy as well. But I don't think you can compare it to the AFC, because I don't think the AFC is as good as the NFC. There are, let's say, there are 4 teams in the NFC that you could say have a legitimate chance of reaching the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Cowboys and Eagles. And the Cowboys made a statement on Sunday night, not allowing an offensive touchdown. San Francisco.
Yep.
Detroit as a wild card. And then it's everybody else. Like right now, I don't see the NFC South champion making it. I don't see the Rams or the Seahawks making a run. I don't see the who else making a run. The Packers. Vikings. I mean, the Packers took a huge blow last night after losing to the 5-8 Giants now. But I don't know. It's just kind of yeah.
To your point, the NFC is more top heavy, but I think the AFC as a whole, when it comes to the playoff picture, has more options to get there. Yeah. Where I think the NFC, it's realistically, after what we saw this past week, I think it's 3 teams in the NFC, just because the Lions lost the Bears. In the AFC, I think you can make a case for 5-6 teams.
All right. Now I want to talk about this Kansas City game, because this play, Mitch, I'm not kidding you. I saw this live in real time, watching it after the Browns game ended. And like, even as a bona fide occasional Chiefs hater, I was jumping out of my seat when I saw this. Travis Kelce, for all the things we've heard about him and his personal life this season and how great he is and everything, that play looked like it was going to go down as one of the great moments in regular season. Another chapter to this Chiefs and Bills rivalry that has been pretty much Chiefs one-sided, but the Bills, they're still competitive.
They're one-sided, but the Bills have made good games. They've all been good games.
Yeah, but it's always been like it's always been like what's a good example? The Bills were the Padawans and the Chiefs were the Jedi, basically.
Yes, 100%.
This game though, like, poor Tony, man. Like at first I was like, oh, that hurts. And then you see the next 3 plays that happen where the Chiefs can't get another first down, and you're like, you could literally feel the energy like escape Arrowhead when that play was called back. It was so intense. And then not only that, we see what happens in the end of the game. We all know what's happened at this point. 72 hours removed, Patrick Mahomes got angry, started charging what looked to be after the referees. Then you get to those post-game press conferences where you're looking at him saying, like, not really disputing the call, but like almost saying like it's like, why would you call it at that point of the game? Like, why would you call it now? They're like, he was asking the referee if I was good on the line, Tony. And you look at it, there's multiple plays in which he was still lining up offsides. I wish we had done this podcast yesterday compared to today, for the sake of getting our takes out there before Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid did the right thing and going back and saying, hey, we apologize. We were very frustrated from that loss, because that's what that was. That was the frustration of this year, where you let multiple games slip away from you. That came to a head Sunday night. And it's unfortunate, because not only is the season, I still think the Chiefs are still, if they're in the playoffs, they'll turn it on and find a way to like make this magic happen, because they're the Chiefs. But I think Sunday night was the Chiefs making the heel turn into NFL villains, the evil empire. Because like, even though the Chiefs since, let's say, 2017-18 have always been like near the top of the AFC, they were never fully the Patriots, where they became to a point where it's almost became like the evil empire, more Star Wars. It never became like the Cowboys in the 90s, where people just got so frustrated with them that they would essentially want to metaphorically sell their souls in order to see them lose in the playoffs. This gave a lot of ammunition. And even as I said, like, I don't love the Chiefs. I'm hating on the Chiefs sometimes, because it's like they're in it every year. you gave him a lot of ammunition that night, and it's unfortunate for them. But like now we're at a point where it's kind of okay now if you don't like the Chiefs on field. And this is the first on field situation we've had for the Chiefs that has gone negative. You could say something about Taylor Swift. You could say something about the Mahomes brother and the wife and everything. But this is the first example where you see something on the field and you don't like it. And we haven't even talked about him talking to Josh Allen after the game. I can't believe I forgot about that. He didn't deserve that. Josh didn't deserve that.
No. And think about all the other times that the Chiefs have won and Josh Allen's reaction. Josh Allen hasn't acted like that. And for Patrick Mahomes to say it's the worst call he's ever seen, buddy.
Do we want to go back 9 months?
Call, yeah. You want to see the worst call ever? How about the worst no call ever? That hurt us. 2020. The helmet to helmet hit on Rashad Higgins. Pat Mahomes, for the first time, I think is feeling the pressure of we're not the clear-cut favorite in the AFC right now. Okay. I think he's feeling the pressure of right now the playoffs don't run through Arrowhead. He has never played a road playoff game, folks. That is something you need to keep in mind. And right now, the Chiefs, yes, Patrick Mahomes has never played a road playoff game.
Really? Not, I mean, Super Bowl doesn't count, yeah, but yeah.
Super Bowl doesn't count, but yeah, in terms of the AFC playoffs, he's never played a road playoff game.
Wow.
Right now, the Chiefs are in a spot to where they're destined right now to play a road playoff game because they're 2 games behind the number 1 seed in the Ravens. Yeah. I think he is feeling the pressure because there has been something in the past few weeks, the games they've won, where the Chiefs just haven't looked like the Chiefs. Him and Travis Kelce have not been that dominant pairing, and it's frightening for me personally because I have them in fantasy football because I thought, oh, this is a cheat code. I have them both. But I think a lot of people are taking away from it is what a crybaby. He's never done this before. We've never seen this from Patrick Mahomes. And
I think that's what it is, yeah.
How can you say that's the worst call ever when he is obviously lined up off sides? He does not turn to get checked on that play. Now, the flip side, Dan Orlovsky of ESPN did pull out the footage. Kadarius Toney was lined up off sides 4 or 5 times before that play, and it was never flagged. And for everybody out there saying that's the ref's fault, why would you flag it then? The Browns were flagged for something a few weeks ago in LA for the center moving the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Late in the game. And it happened early in the game. And you have 2 sides of this. You need to call it immediately so they fix it, or you warn that player. On the other side, you warn that player to fix it. And if they don't fix it, it gets called eventually. Kadarius Toney, to me, I don't know if it's lack of awareness. He doesn't care. He thinks he can get away with it because he's gotten away with it for so long. But not only that, but you look at week 1, the Chiefs left tackle who kept getting that giant start off the offensive line that was never called. And now tackles are getting it called. It was bound to happen. And the flag was thrown as soon as the play was set. So for the people out there saying they only threw it because it was a touchdown. No.
The graphic came up late.
The graphic came up late. But if you go back and watch it, the flag was thrown as soon as the ball was snapped. Okay. They didn't throw it because the Chiefs scored because the NFL has something against the Chiefs. If anything, the NFL probably wants the Chiefs to keep doing what they're doing because of all the attention the Chiefs are getting because of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, whether that's right or wrong. They're the number 1. The New Heights podcast is now the number 1 podcast in all sports podcasts. Why do you think that is? Because a lot of new people are listening to that podcast because of something off the field going on.
Sure.
I didn't like how Mahomes handled it. I did not like how Andy Reid handled it. They are facing some different type of adversity for the first time. And Mitch, I think this year, I know it's been a couple years. This year, though, I think the Chiefs are missing that true number 1 wide receiver. Travis Kelce's his go-to guy. He is a tight end. But the Kansas City Chiefs are now missing that dominant number 1 top wide receiver, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, like they have with Tyreek Hill. And last year they had Juju. He was not a top caliber wide receiver, but he was a dependable wide receiver. Even the dependable receivers they have now, Rashee Rice, does he scare you? I don't think so. Does he scare opposing defenses? No. Does Valdez-Scantling scare you? No. Does Kadarius Toney? No, because he can't even line up on sides. The Chiefs right now are feeling the heat for the first time, I think, in the Mahomes and Reid era. And I am intrigued to see what this team looks like having to go on the road for the playoffs. they would still get a home playoff game, but if they're going to get to the Super Bowl, they have to go on the road. At the same time, with how that division's playing right now, more so the Denver Broncos, the Chiefs are only a game up on the Broncos for the division lead. Like that, and the Broncos are playing good football.
Yeah, they've won what, 6 out of the last 7?
Yeah, this is a team that gave up 70 points, and we thought, oh my gosh, oh, this team is terrible. Russell Wilson is this bad. Sean Payton is not a good coach. And what did they do? Sean Payton flipped it. Russell Wilson bought into what Sean Payton wanted to do, and now this team's good. They really are. And I believe they still play. I'm gonna check right now because I haven't pulled up here.
Their point differential, I believe, is at, okay, minus. I had that wrong. It was minus 22. But if you take away that 70-point game, that's a positive.
Yeah, the Chiefs' remaining 4 games, none of which are really worrisome. They should probably win out. They play the Patriots next week.
Yeah.
Which the Patriots won this past game. They're probably done with trying to win football games.
They are eliminated from the playoffs officially.
They are. There's 2 teams, them and the Panthers.
Yep.
Shocker, the Panthers. Poor Panthers. Then they play the Raiders at home. Then they play the Bengals, but it's in Kansas City. The Bengals are kind of looking like they're rejuvenated. And they play the Chargers then to end the season, who looks like are going to be without Justin Herbert for the rest of the year. This is a team that's probably going to finish with 12 wins. I would be hard-pressed to see them losing one of those and the Broncos winning their last 4. But crazy things have happened this year. We'll have to wait and see. But it did irk me. In my final thought, it did irk me with how Pat Mahomes reacted, more so how he reacted to Josh Allen. That wasn't fair to Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been nothing but a very, I don't want to say good loser because you don't like to lose, but a respectable guy.
Yeah,
when the Bills have lost those games.
He's not very outward with his person. He's so not outward with his personality that it comes around to having a personality. And a big part of that is the Chief is like the Bills,
1,000%.
Bills other characters and the Bills social media team. That kind of helps him in a way. It's not like a guy like Herbert who's kind of saddled with his team. I shouldn't say that. The team's trying their best, but they need a new head coach. I'm off the train with Staley. If they lose to whoever they're playing, if they lose to Vegas this week without Herbert, time to go. I'm done. This is stupid.
I was shocked he was not fired immediately. I think his saving grace is that Herbert got hurt, but the Chargers were never in that game. There is something way, way, way wrong in LA. And they got Kellen Moore. The Chargers offense is going to be great. Has not looked great. They lost Mike Williams. Well, he's lost Mike Williams, I think, every season he's been in the NFL because Mike Williams, unfortunately, can't stay healthy. Brandon Staley is the defensive coordinator, and that defense is putrid. I do think they will lose the Raiders. But I also now kind of think that Staley won't be fired till after the season because it looks like Herbert is done for the year.
Yeah.
It has not officially been announced, but it looks like he has a fractured finger that he'll end up.
It would not
IR.
be fair. It would not be fair to the rest of the team if they just cut the leader they've had all season, give him at least a chance to end it, and then we'll go from there.
Mitch, before we go on quick, there was a talking point that was mentioned yesterday on a couple different shows. More specifically, the Bill Simmons podcast. If you're the Chargers, do you look to one of the top 3 teams in the draft to trade Justin Herbert for one of the top 3 picks?
I don't know. This might just be a coaching situation. If you can get an offensive mind that can really turn that offense into a juggernaut, then possibly. But
I've said it now for 2 years. Can we pump the brakes then on Justin Herbert being this elite quarterback?
No,
because we can't pump the brakes.
No, he's still got the tangible. He's still got the talent. He can put up the numbers. The team just can't win the games.
To me, he is not your top 5 NFL quarterback. And I think if you're going to say he's top 10, I think he's at 9 or 10. I don't believe in Justin Herbert right now. I think he's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he sucks. Would I take him in Cleveland before we got Flacco, who looks rejuvenated? Yeah. I just don't know if he's the guy in terms of being the all-touring franchise quarterback, just like I know I'm in the minority here, and this has nothing to do with Sunday's game, just like I am not completely sold on Trevor Lawrence being a top 5 NFL quarterback. And if you want to fight me on that, you can, but all I would tell you is go to Pro Football Reference, enter Trevor Lawrence, compare his stats with Mac Jones, and wow, they're very similar.
Oh, well, I'm jury's still out for me on Trevor Lawrence. I know he had a bad game yesterday or Sunday, but I'm jury's still out on him. even more so than Herbert, even though him and Herbert are pretty similar on the league's passing rankings right now. Lawrence is listed at 9 in passing yards. Herbert's at 11. Jalen Hurts is only at 10. So it's not like everybody loves to tout up Jalen Hurts because his team wins all the time. If Herbert was in the same situation, we'd be saying the same thing about Herbert. The guy is a good quarterback. The guy can play. Just needs a guy who can help him out on offense, and they need some defensive coordinator that can take all the way all the slack from the offensive coordinator head coach. That's what we need. That's what they need. I don't say we. I'm not a Chargers fan, but that's what they need. Anyway. By the way, I was gonna say last thing about the Chiefs. Do you think that Reed and Mahomes sabotage their press conferences to save Tony from slack? Do you think that's what happened?
I do think there's a good chance. I think maybe not fully, but I do. It's hard to throw a guy under the bus, especially your teammate.
Well, yeah,
a guy you've had to rely on a lot this year. I do think it's hard there. I do think, though, behind closed doors, when they had that film session on Monday, I'm sure they ripped into him a little bit because to my other point of Dan Orlovsky showing you it was 5 times in that game, there's something there with Tony. Obviously, this was a very talented wide receiver coming in the draft that the Giants took a risk on. They got rid of him for virtually nothing. It's hard to see what it was. I mean, he was a stud at Florida. Let's not forget how good he was at the University of Florida. But I do think a lot of the reaction was we can't show that towards our teammate because of the repercussions it could have of him being bought in with his team. But it's hard not to think there's frustration there for Kadarius Toney from Mahomes and everybody else, and Travis Kelce included, because that play you showed, Mitch, would have been one of the coolest plays we had ever seen. We were both watching it live. You texted me. I was like, holy crap, that's unreal. And the best part is that's not a scripted play.
No.
That's not a play they have in their playbook. That was Travis Kelce just having IQ.
He threw between 2 incoming defenders while leaning to his right almost and threw a perfect dart right to Tony. That is and going back to one of the stupid things Mahomes said, that's good. That could affect his Hall of Fame thing. I'm like, shut up. Please stop talking. Now, I like Mahomes. I think he's a good guy. But I'm like, come on, buddy. Let's he's gonna get it. They could show that play and nobody would know the difference. Anyway, if no one said anything. Have you checked in on someone yet today? This is your reminder. A simple text, call, or message. You don't have to be a professional to check in. You just have to ask and listen. Are you someone who could use a check-in? Dial 988 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A message from Stark County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery.
Wendy's without the Wendy's app is like Nugs without the sauce. Or a Frosty without the fries. Or a hamburger without the fresh beef. No! Level up. Get the app to order ahead, order delivery, earn free food, and get app-exclusive offers. One app, all the Wendy's.
Offer for a limited time at participating Wendy's. Terms apply. App registration required. Fresh beef available in contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
You deserve the best. And at Ferris Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, Toyota, that's what you get. We consider you, the customer, to be part of our family. Anybody can make promises, but when you visit Ferris, you get the Ferris deal from a Ferris wheel. So if you're looking for a car, truck, or van, think Ferris.
Think Ferris. Where you matter.
You matter. Everyone plays a part. We all have a role. Each of us can make a difference. You do matter, and the best way to have a positive impact is to pay it forward. With each of us helping one another to cope, feel better, and know that we belong. Pass on the positivity today. Tell someone else they matter too. Alt Care.
Alt Care, Alt Care. Where you matter.
You invest a lot in your home and vehicle purchases. Van Nostrand Young and Associates want you to feel secure should anything happen to those investments. We partnered with providers like Grange Insurance and other industry leaders to be sure you're presented with the most complete coverage to fit your needs. Because we're not only here to protect the items you invest in, we're here to protect your future as well.
Call Van Nostrand Young Insurance in North Canton at 330-497-1867.
Ride into the future to win great prizes. Can you see into the SARTA crystal ball? Guess how we'll be innovating and adding new services to make your SARTA experience better than ever. Try your luck with the What's Next at SARTA contest at sartanext.com. One grand prize winner will win free bus rides for 6 months. Runners-up will win great SARTA merchandise like a Bluetooth speaker water bottle, backpack, and tumbler. And don't worry, they're all multiple choice questions. All part of SARTA 2.5. Happy SARTAversary.
Oh boy. Okay, so let's finally I need you to do one thing for me, Mitch. Show me the money. Shohei Ohtani is now the richest man in baseball. Sort of. We got some developments yesterday on the $700 million 10-year contract that he signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers, which, by the way, we talked about in our group chat. I like that Ohtani didn't do anything, he didn't first of all, they didn't allow a reporter to break the news first, from what I believe. They didn't make some big statement until after they made the signing official. Shohei just put up a picture of the Dodgers logo on there and said, I'm going with the Dodgers. And I'm like, you know what? Respect it. That's a simple way of doing it. I've always said, if I was a professional athlete and grew up in this wave of like social media reporting that we've been accustomed to, I know that I would have put out a tweet that said, Mitch Spinell plans to sign a 10-year, $700 million contract with the New York Yankees per Mitch Spinell. I always would have done that, but it would have been stupid. And by the way, I was going to say Guardians. I was going to say with the Guardians, but then you would have made fun of me because there's no way they would give a contract like that. Although they could have, and I will get to that.
They could. Well, then I won't go to that point yet because I want you to be able to lead that point. But $700 million man. Like, not only that, Mitch, he is so likable, and for a superstar. And listen, there's guys that people don't like. I will start with a guy that I do like. That is a superstar in baseball, Fernando Tatis Jr. People don't like how he showboats or how he reacts. I am not part of that. It's usually the older crowd. Well, that I'm taking that differently. That's not included. The older crowd doesn't like that. At the same time, this is a sport that you need to get more marketable, that you need to allow other people to watch. And I think allowing pitchers and hitters to celebrate and do whatever they want is a good thing. Shohei Ohtani, you know how he does it? He just hits 400-foot home runs and he comes out and he strikes out 12 of your guys in 6 innings, and doesn't give up a run. He is such a subtle superstar. Part of it is because he is not a dominant speaking player. At the same time, and he's been on the West Coast his entire career so far, which is where he's probably going to end his career. He'll be 39 by the time the contract ends with the Dodgers. I loved how he broke it. You heard early on, not want anything getting leaked. And what did it seem like all of a sudden was going to happen? It looked like this guy was going to be a Toronto Blue Jay. They had the color right. He was going to be wearing blue, but it wasn't Toronto. And you had reporters come out and apologize for that. The Blue Jays went from 14-1 to 9-1 odds on the FanDuel Sportsbook for World Series winners. It looked like all indications pointed he was going to be a Blue Jay. And it's almost like he stayed true to his word. Maybe he wanted to go to Toronto, and maybe it was as soon as that was leaked. Nope, you guys didn't listen to me.
And everybody sold the Dodgers when Dave Roberts came out and said what he said.
Yeah. I hate part of it because we play and root for a team that is a small market team.
We do.
That refuses to spend money. At the same time, though, we said last year when Shohei Ohtani was at the peak of the season, this man is going to potentially be the closest guy to ever get billion with a B a contract. And there's a lot of people, myself included, that wonder, Mitch, if he was able to pitch in the 2024 season, how much more money could he have gotten? Would it have been more? Are we talking 800, 850? Are we talking close to $1 billion? We don't know. We'll never know. But what Shohei Ohtani did, and this is a good segue into what I know you want to talk about, is he took a deal that shows his worth, but also in a way we've never seen done before, that allows his team to go out and be competitive and not handicap the team with the contract. Not a good example here, but still sports. Not handicap a team like the Browns are handicapped with Deshaun Watson with $230 million. Shohei said, give me $700 million. I'm going to manipulate this a way that's never been done before. The Dodgers are going to invent the credit card, basically. And we're going to go get whoever we want to surround not only myself, but Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Walker Buehler and all these other stars that are out in LA for the Dodgers. And as much crap as you can give the Dodgers for the lack of World Series they've won, this is a new era in LA. And this is a team that is now going to be extremely frightening to play, and a team that other players are going to want to go to because of what Shohei Ohtani has done with his contract. They can go there and still get paid a pretty penny.
So just to make sure our numbers are covered, because I don't know if you said it, but I'll just if you so, I'll repeat it again. Ohtani is going to defer $68 million of the $70 million he'll make per year of the 10-year contract, allowing the team to keep spending. So it's not like he's going to get paid $70 million every season for the next 10 years. He's essentially going to get paid $2 million per year over the next 10 years, make a total of $20 million for that entire run. And then the Dodgers can, I don't know if they're going to pay him in installments for the rest of his life, or if it's going to be like a lump sum all at once, from what I remember. And that's good. And that's smart for him, because he'll make a portion of the money that will get taxed on with the crazy California tax laws, but it won't be like losing half of $700 million or $70 million a year.
So the $70 million with the taxes, because we didn't know this was going to happen until yesterday.
Right.
He would have made upwards of $34 million after the California taxes. If
right.
He was making
that's
$70 million a year. Which I'm just putting that into context for all the listeners and viewers out there, because that is absurd. But he doesn't have to worry about that now.
He could move to somewhere. He could move to Florida and make it tax free. As far again, I'm not 100 so on tax laws per state, but what's good for him though, and I love the part of this deal, like $2 million is $2 million per year. That's a good salary to make in a year for any job. It doesn't allow him to get fat and happy, from what I'm gathering, because a lot, and I don't mean to change the topic, but a lot of the thing after the play-in tournament this week, with like the Lakers and everybody, and with the Pelicans with Zion Williamson, everyone kept reiterating how he's fat and happy with that fat contract in New Orleans, and he's out of shape. Yeah, I'm not getting into that, but Ohtani doesn't have this incentive to be like this big spender, because you're not getting the money completely up front for the next 10 years. That could make, obviously there's a lot of things he wants to accomplish. He probably wants to win the World Series title, multiple World Series titles. I'm trying to check and see if I know he's won MVP. I'm sure he would want to win the Cy Young Award. He'd want to win a Cy Young Award at some point when he's still pitching, because again, I don't think he's going to pitch forever at the rate that he's going, and he probably won't pitch this year with the surgery he's going under. But I don't know. I think this is very interesting, because we've seen so many contracts just flame out on guys, and they still have to get paid the money anyway. The Dodgers are going to have to pay, but Ohtani is taking a long-term business decision into what could result in him pushing himself a little harder, pushing the team a little harder, and that could lead to them becoming this. Like you make this happen with the contract, with this money you're spending. This is like pointing two metaphorical middle fingers at the world of baseball and saying, catch up, come after us.
Yeah. It's we've never seen something like this before. And I use that analogy. The Dodgers invented the credit card. What it basically almost comes to. You, myself, and a lot of other friends of mine, I'm sure friends of yours too, that are Guardians fans, knew we were never going to be in the market for Shohei Ohtani. Seeing this, though, it does raise the thought of, is that something that could have been done? And you look at the Guardians, they can afford $2 million a year for players. We just gave Austin Hedges, which, by the way, welcome back, Hedgie, happy to have you, $4 million. There is a lot of belief, and it's picked up steam over the past few years, that Dolan eventually will sell the team to new minority owner Blitzer.
Yes.
He has that type of money. We know that from what he's done in his past. The other teams he's been part ownership or still owns. I believe the New Jersey Devils. I believe the Philadelphia 76ers, off the top of my head, are two of the teams. Why couldn't they have done that? And it hurts, because we wanted something like that. We want that guy. And look, we have a guy that did something like that in Jose Ramirez. I'm not going to sit here as big of a fan of Jose Ramirez as much as I pounded the drum that he is so good and better than Lindor and this, that, whatever. Ohtani obviously is better than Jose. But you now see this blueprint, and it's like, why can't we go do that for somebody else? I am very intrigued, though, Mitch, because a lot of the times what we see when it comes to these deals, and we saw it almost immediately in the NFL with Deshaun Watson. As soon as a deal like this happens, a team follows suit. A team does it better. I think there's going to be one or two options here that happen. I would be a fan of either. I'm not going to say I hate one more than the other. I think you're going to see more teams go for this and try to do this. I also think you could see a lot of teams now come in and say, that's it. We've had it. Salary cap, baseball. Now we can't do this. And baseball is the one sport that has never had a salary cap. Right or wrong, baseball is also the sport that has so much unpredictability in it. Because look at all these teams, the Arizona Diamondbacks making the World Series, the Guardians in 2022 winning their wild card round,
right?
6 team making the World Series. Like, you don't have to have the best players in baseball to win the World Series. It certainly helps. I'm not just disregarding that fact at all. But I do think there are going to be teams that now could potentially start to pound the drum of, we need a salary cap. And the one team that nobody's talking about that I think we could see do it is the San Diego Padres, because they are in a world of hurt with all the money they gave those players to where they had to trade Juan Soto. They are having to take loans out to pay people in the organization because they spent so much money. The Dodgers are the cream of the crop. They are the best team in the NL, most recognizable team in the NL, most notable team, if not the most notable team in all baseball. It's them and the Yankees. We know this. There's nothing wrong in saying that. I'm intrigued to see where the domino falls, because I think the domino falls one way or the other. And maybe it's not a necessarily hard salary cap, but maybe it's more luxury tax percentage. Maybe it's more whatever. I don't know. I just think that we will see a domino effect from something like this. For who? I don't know, though.
I think they're going to maybe try and implement a salary floor, because they're not going to try and handicap all the big market bullies that make up the stars in this league, that have the most talent and are in the playoffs year in and year out. If anything, I think they're going to try and make these other teams like the Guardians and Pirates be like, hey, you guys got to start spending some more money if you want to, be a part of this league still, because some of the teams that Ohtani would have been making more this season, more than the entire rosters, wasn't absurd.
Yeah. It was, let me think. If he would have, let me put it this way, the Marlins are valued at $1 billion. So he's $300 million below what an entire organization is valued at. He would have been making more than the Guardians, the Reds, the Pirates, the Rays, the A's. And those are just the teams off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That's before he gave up the $68 million.
If he'd had the contract we thought he would this year, he would have made more than the Guardians, $66.8 million, Miami at 65.9, Kansas City at 65.4, Milwaukee 61.6, Cincinnati 59.9, Pittsburgh 54.2, Baltimore at 42.8, and Oakland at 38.6.
I will go to your point. So I will say it goes 3 ways. I think it's either a salary cap, more teams do this deal, or there will be a salary floor. I am in favor for any of those 3. I'm only in favor if it's more deals like this, if the Guardians can somehow do it, which based off what you sent me, doesn't look like the Guardians going to do it, because we have a guy the Guardians are looking to trade in Shane Bieber.
I take that back. That was not an official report.
Oh, okay.
So I can't say anything about that yet. I did send you a thing, though, that we'll end the podcast with, and it's an update on our Herbert talk. Justin Herbert's is out for the rest of the season with season-ending surgery, according to Brandon Staley. So, get rid of the head coach. I don't mean to be mean, but God, this is just reboot in LA. Reboot. Anyway, thanks you guys so much for listening or watching the Big Time Sports Podcast show. Be sure to check out all of us on our social medias and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and here on YouTube. Mitch, what's the fact of the day?
Mitch, do you like outer space or stars or meteors?
I'm a little deathly terrified of space, but sure.
Well, maybe not for you, but for others. Sort of a fun fact, but also something to do. There will be a treat, annual meteor shower returns to its peak tonight, or I'm sorry, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and they should be visible between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Wednesday night, and then again Thursday morning before 7 to see the meteor shower that will be going past planet Earth.
Okay, I need you to repeat. I need you to summarize that again because your mic cut off right at the beginning, and I want to make sure.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. So go right ahead. Repeat the meteor shower again.
The annual Gimmons, I hope I pronounced that correctly, meteor shower will return to its peak this year. And the weather right now shows that in Ohio, mostly Northeast Ohio, it will be clear skies. So between 9 and 10 Wednesday night, you should be able to go outside and see it. And then again, Thursday morning before 7 a.m., you should be able to see it. I've never personally seen a meteor shower. I remember was it the lunar eclipse we had a couple of years ago? Solar eclipse, one of the two.
Lunar eclipse,
I know we're supposed to have that again, obviously on opening day with the Guardians opening up against the White Sox in Cleveland. But just something that definitely a fun fact that we've not really been able to see. 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Wednesday, according to NASA, is a good opportunity for young stargazers to get a look at them before bed. At its peak Thursday morning, you can expect up to 120 meteors per hour in good conditions. That's as many as 2 a minute, according to Earth, Sky, and NASA. You could be able to see that before 7:30 a.m. and sunrise on Thursday morning. Then.
Yeah, what does a meteor shower look like? I have it pulled up right here, and what do we got? Just looks like a basic. Oh,
there you go.
Oh, so it's shooting stars. Okay.
So yeah, they're saying 2 a minute because there's about 128 meteors per hour in good condition. So Wednesday night to Thursday morning, something to do.
Very cool. Thank you so much for listening or watching to the Big Time Sports Podcast Show.